That's okay.
Okay, good evening, guys. We're live.
Hey guys, welcome to the last webinar of today. Or maybe you logged on to listen and watch and participate in some others. But yeah, this is the 8 p.m. session. And we've got our highest session, our highest levels for the last session of the day.
Exactly, yes. I haven't been doing too many of the 10 to 13 focuses. So I guess this is the one that I know the fewest students. What about you, Danielle? Have you been doing lots of 10
No,
to 13?
I haven't. I've done lots of lower levels, but not so many higher levels. I think I only did one a couple of weeks ago when the lockdown first started. So yeah, nice to be doing something, to be able
Great.
to hopefully have something super interactive with you guys, because you're obviously very, very good.
Exactly, guys. In fact, we've been choosing, for these activities, especially, slides that give you a lot of vocabulary, synonyms, and things. So, yeah, hopefully it will be useful. As always, if you have a Google account and you're able to comment, let us know, of course, who you are, where you come from, but also, during the activity, anything you'd like to add, comments, questions, doubts, or sometimes even, if you come across a word that you're not too familiar with, try to use it in a sentence, because then, we can point you out in the right direction if for some reason you're using it slightly incorrectly or whatever. So, don't be afraid to make mistakes. We're here for that.
Yeah, exactly. Guys, yeah, so for the next 50 minutes, just use us as a resource, basically, right?
Exactly.
Obviously, we're here to do the focus, but we're here to help you. So let us know what we can do.
Yeah.
Maybe we should introduce ourselves to start with. So I'm Danielle, and I'm Australian, and I teach at Meravigli, which is one of the schools in Milan. For those of you who aren't based in Milan, we have 3 schools in Milan, soon to be 4, I believe.
Soon to be 4, yeah.
Yes, and I've been teaching at Meravigli for just over 18 months. And before that, I lived in London. So I have a bit of a strange accent. It's a bit of a combination between an Australian accent and a London accent. Yeah.
Great, fantastic. And I am one of Danielle's colleagues, so I also work at Milan Meravigli. I've been there a little bit longer. I joined MyS in 2016, and I've been in Meravigli the whole time. And what else? So my name is Thiago, as you can maybe see right where my picture is. I'm 29. I am originally from Brazil, but I've also spent quite some time in California growing up. So great, guys. If you can, do let us know. We can see that we have 2 people that have joined us so far. We also know that if you don't have a Google account, you cannot comment. But if you can, we would love to hear from you, know where you guys come from. So as we were saying before, on this focus, we'll be looking at a lot of idioms, a lot of expressions, vocabulary, especially things relating to different types of cards. So over here in the picture, we have one type of card. We would say these are playing cards. So we'll be talking about protecting your identity, so maybe cards such as your ID card, your credit card, etc. Idioms related to cards, and also phrases for giving suggestions if we get to that. Oh, here we go. We got some people joining us. Fantastic.
Sylvia, Eliza, Mauro. Great to have you on board. Yeah, looking forward to hearing from you for the next 50 minutes.
Awesome, guys. All right. So let's jump right in. So we're going to start with some introduction questions. Danielle, could you please read these questions? Just get us started.
So number 1, do you need to carry a lot of cards? Why or why not? What kinds of information is on those cards? Where do you use them? What are the advantages and disadvantages of having and using these cards?
Exactly. Okay. So feel free to choose 1 or 2 questions, or also in general, these are really suggestions, but especially for the higher levels like you guys, anything you find interesting, any kind of input,
Yeah.
let us know. And then while you guys write, since there's sometimes a bit of a delay and you guys might be writing a little bit more than our lower level students, perhaps Danielle and I can discuss some of these questions as well.
Yeah.
Maybe get some useful vocab going around. So what about you, Danielle? So do you need to carry a lot of cards when you go around the city?
I don't carry as many as I used to. So for me, it depends on how big your wallet is. So I used to have quite a big wallet, and so it was full of cards, but most of them I didn't use. So for that reason, I got a small wallet a few years back. I chose one, and actually, my friends bought it for me for my leaving present when I left London. And it's quite small, so I carry less cards than I used to. I only
Uh-huh.
carry the essential cards. Yeah. How about
So
you?
yeah, I would also agree with you on that. One thing I really don't like is having a big wallet, because I always carry it in my back pocket as well.
Uh-huh.
And so even just, it's quite uncomfortable if you have like a big wallet, because when you sit down, it kind of, you really feel the weight of that, that square shaped thing in your pocket. So I always try to keep it quite small myself, and getting rid of cards is the first way to do it.
Yeah.
So I tend to carry the essentials. The nice thing nowadays, compared to growing up, I remember we had all sorts of like supermarket cards, and there was a card for everything, even like frequent flyers.
Yeah.
You always had to present cards, but with our smartphones, there's some really nice apps in which you can just scan the barcode
Yeah.
and
Very
use that
true.
instead.
Yeah.
So I keep just the basics, I would say.
Yeah, me too. And I
Uh,
also don't carry things that I'm not likely to need in case my wallet is stolen, because it has happened to me
yes.
before. So I don't want to lose
Oh,
everything.
really?
Yeah, I don't want to lose everything if
Oh,
that
gosh.
happens.
Yeah,
Okay.
honestly, I would rather lose money than all my documents.
Yeah.
Because if
Yes.
I think of the hassle of, oh my gosh, I would have to go to so many offices,
Hmm.
stand in so many lines, and I can't even begin to imagine.
No, exactly. Okay. What about number
So,
2? All right. What kind of information is on the cards that you carry?
I guess quite a lot. See, one thing I'm always a little wary of is the fact, in my Italian ID especially, there's my house address, so the place where I live. That is
Mhm.
something I really don't like. So I mean, get everything, my name, my tax code, my home address, even my blood type. I have like a little, from back in the day.
Really?
Yeah, from back
Yeah.
in the day, I have I donated blood, and then I had this like little paper card, and for some reason that's still in my wallet. What about you? Like, would they get all this info on you as well?
Um, I can't remember what's on a lot of the cards that I carry, but certainly I carry obviously my carta d'identità. And also because I have a son, I have a baby, guys, and so I have to carry my baby's cards around. So I have 2 testa sanitaria, I have 2
Ah,
carta d'identità, so that yeah, there's like double trouble if I lose my wallet.
I
Um,
see.
yeah, so to be honest, there's not, but other than that, I carry my bank cards, which obviously has incredibly important information if anyone wants to use them online.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty easy for them to do that. Or to use, if they want to use it as like contactless. All right. So if you want to pay for something without actually using the PIN.
Yeah, there's no pin.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so that counts as
Yeah.
information, I guess.
Now, one difference I noticed between the U.S. and Italy is the fact that here in Italy, you must always have some kind of identification on you, because you can be stopped for no reason, even just for like a random check. It's never happened to me, but I was told that having an ID is essential here. In the U.S., we don't even have a national ID, so there's
Mhm.
certainly no obligation to have one. How does it work in Australia?
Yeah, you're not obliged to carry your ID. No, definitely not. And not in the UK either. The idea
Oh,
of a national ID card is it's not that common in lots of countries. Italy is, well, certainly in my experience, is a bit unique in that sense.
Yeah, because here, like, you must have it, huh?
Mm.
I mean, another difference I would say related to that is even being stopped for no reason is something that would really be seen as infringing your rights as an individual to go about. So the authorities in the U.S., they must have, at least like in theory, they need to have a reason to stop you. They have to be able to explain why, even when driving, for instance. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Should we go on? Maybe we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's. Okay. So here, guys, we have some idioms, so some expressions that relate to cards. Here, maybe I'll read the first two, then Danielle can finish them. So the first one is to be on the cards. So if something is on the cards, to put all your cards on the table.
To hold all the cards. To play your cards right. To keep your cards close to your chest. Right, and you know that your chest is this. Yeah, that's your chest. All right.
Exactly. And then I guess we can give you guys the possible answers here. So try to guess. Maybe you know some of these expressions, but if you don't, I guess you can kind of guess it if you think a little bit about the context where they might come from. Yeah, so I guess we can read these options as well. So A is to do the correct things to reach a desired result. B, to be likely to happen.
C, not to tell anyone what you plan to do. D, to have what is needed to control a situation. Or E, to be honest and open. All right, so guys, so in this context, all of these card idioms are about cards in the context of playing cards, right? Like if you play poker or blackjack or something like that. We use the same word for cards like that you carry in your wallet, like your bank cards, but also for playing cards. And that's where all of these come from. I think these idioms are good actually, because if you really think about them, you can understand the meaning. And that's not true of all English idioms, but this one with the cards, it is true. Imagine you're at a casino and you're at a poker table and you put your cards and think about these situations. A few other people join us. We've had Michaela, I just spelled your name wrong. Got Bruno, we've got Michaela from Rome. Very nationwide audience, which is great to see.
Yeah.
Okay. Thiago, which of these phrases do you use? Are there any that you would use more than others?
That I would use more regularly. Let's see. I guess to put my cards on the table can be used a bit more. Also to play your cards right, definitely. And yeah, I guess those two, but maybe also to keep your cards close to your chest. Yeah, I mean, obviously these are not expressions that are used all the time, but they're certainly used quite a bit. They're not uncommon in any way.
No, they're not. They're worth knowing. At your level, guys, these are worth knowing. For me, number 5 is definitely the most common. I would be more likely to say number 5 than the others. And maybe number 1.
Yeah.
So
yeah, number 1, I guess that's the only one that it doesn't relate as much to playing cards, but more to, I guess, fortune telling.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. All right, guys, I hope you're thinking about this. I reckon you're going to get a lot of them right. So let us know as and when you think of them.
So especially if you consider, that first one is related to fortune telling.
Yeah.
Maybe fortune telling is also an expression you might not have come across before. That can be a good one. So fortune telling, I mean, there are different types of fortune telling. One of them is cards. I actually don't know too much, but I know they're like we can read like the tea, like the coffee inside the mug. So it's kind of like trying to predict, I guess, the future.
Yeah.
So you tell someone's fortune by using these methods.
Yeah. So, guys, so fortune can mean different things. Fortune as a noun can mean lots of money. Okay, so he has a fortune or he won a fortune in the lottery. But in this context, your fortune means like your future. Okay, so yeah, some people read your palm, you get palm readers, they tell
Palm
you
reading, yes.
your fortune, supposedly. Okay.
Yeah, the crystal ball, another one.
Yeah.
There are all sorts of different ones. So, all right, maybe we can do this first one
Yeah, maybe
as
let's
you
do the
guys
first
tell
one.
us. But yeah, so if something is on the cards, so it relates to the future. So basically, you're saying that something is likely to happen.
Yeah.
So it's on the cards. So looking at the cards in front of me, the cards that I, chose, it says it's likely to happen. It's on the cards.
Exactly.
So you can even say that to someone, it's almost like in a way to reassure them. They're worried if something will go through or not, if they'll achieve the results they want. You can say, oh, it's on the cards. Don't worry. I know you got this.
Yeah, it's possible. It's more than possible.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what about the next one? To put all your cards on the table. So again, think about a game of like poker or a card game, and you get to the point and you go like this. All right, you put all your cards on the table so everyone can see.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what does that
Basically,
mean?
you reveal what you
Yeah.
have been keeping secret before. So I know there's sometimes a bit of a delay with the comments, guys. So I guess we'll go ahead and just show you the answer. But yeah, to be honest and open.
Okay.
Especially if maybe there is an issue more in that context as well. People might be holding back, not being transparent, and there's tension. You might say, all right, listen, I think we should just sit down, put all our cards on the table, and just talk this out.
Yeah. Yeah. Or maybe if you're having a conversation with your boss about wanting a promotion or a raise or something like that, if you're just completely open about it, you put all your cards on the table.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And then we have the expression to hold all the cards. So especially if men say this about a person who holds all the cards. Also, we got a few coming in now. See, yeah, the comments were just a little bit late.
Excellent.
So exactly, 2 is
well done, Bruno.
Oh, and 2 is common in Italy. Great. 3, Bruno, let's see. To hold all the cards is to have what is needed to control a situation. Yes, exactly. The person who holds all the cards.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay. Right. To play your cards right. So think about this again. You're playing cards, all right, and you do a good job. What happens if you're playing cards at a casino? Imagine, and you do a really good job. What happens? You play really well.
Exactly. So if you play your cards right, I guess that one's a bit more straightforward as well. So yeah, you do the right things to kind of reach that result you would like. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, well done, Michaela. Yeah,
wonderful.
Exactly.
And then lastly, to keep your cards close to your chest. So again, imagine you're playing and you don't want people to see. So you keep your cards close to your chest.
Exactly.
So it is basically the opposite of to put your cards on the table.
Okay.
So yeah, not to tell anyone what you plan to do.
Yeah, to be a little bit secretive about your intentions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly. So I mean, maybe some of these expressions are completely new. Michaela said that number 2, for example, is an easy one because it relates to an Italian expression. Of course, being this level, guys, you really have to make the effort to use these new expressions because you can easily do without. You can use something simpler. You can still get your point across. So it's really about building that extra fluency now. And so, choose like 2 or 3, especially that you think, oh, I like this, or I can easily remember it. And then try to incorporate it into your speech. At first, it might be a bit forced. And doing so in school is a great place to do it, because I know you might not want to risk maybe getting the wrong preposition or the wrong expression in a work meeting. But so try it out at school, once we're back, especially, but certainly in this focus as well.
Yeah, no, it's true. In a class, like for teachers, there's nothing better than seeing someone use something like this, which we know you have learnt in a focus or a lesson, and if you can reproduce it spontaneously, that makes us feel great. So please do it.
Exactly. So here, this is one thing we can actually do now. So see, in class, we would ask students to, we would put them in pairs and ask them to create a dialogue, so to try to incorporate these situations. This might take a little bit longer if you're trying to type out a dialogue in the comments. It's not as doable. So how about we adapt this activity slightly? Choose one or two of these expressions, and can you use that in an example?
Yeah.
So put it into a more realistic context. That way we can make sure we can tell you whether or not you're using it correctly.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Nice one here is what we see on top is a wild card.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell them, Danielle, what a wild card refers to?
A wild card. So the technical meaning of this, it's usually in a well, I guess it can be in a game of cards, but also in a board game, right? And usually it's a card which it has special power. Okay, so it is usually based on this card. You have lots of different options. All right, that's the best way to explain it.
Yeah.
So in every game that you play, the wild card looks different, and it means you can do a different thing in each game. But it's the idea is it's wild, all right. So there's no rules around it. So you can do it can do a number of different things. But yeah, if you're playing a game and you get whichever card is designated the wild card, it's a great thing, right?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
very good.
Sometimes in playing cards, the Joker can be used as a wild card.
Yeah.
If you're playing like a game like Uno, for example, there is that one card that you get to choose as well. It's a special card. It has that flexibility. That could be considered a wild card.
Yeah. While you guys are writing, Thiago, how about we do number 1 or 2 together?
Sure,
We have a conversation. Which one shall we do?
Let's see. Okay, maybe we can do. I'm trying to think of like maybe what the ones that are a bit trickier, perhaps.
Maybe the second one. I mean, I'm happy with either.
Yeah, you can go ahead and can do that one.
Okay. So should we pretend I had the job interview? Oh, here we go.
Great.
Bruno.
Yeah.
Bruno has an example. We'll use Bruno's example first. So I asked my boss for a raise, but another colleague had already asked before then me, and so he denied it to me. Okay. So yeah, that's a good situation. Just a few little things. Bruno, that's really well written. Just a few little things, just because you guys are so senior. You can say before it, you need to say for. Okay, so you say, I asked my boss for a raise, but another colleague had already asked for it or for one before me. Okay, so you don't need then. Maybe if I rewrite it. Maybe probably refused, I would say. Denied. Okay. I asked my boss for a raise, but another colleague had already asked for one, so he refused it. Okay, he refused to give me a raise. Okay, yeah, so that's a good situation for explaining number 1. Okay. But maybe, so can you try and use one of the card idioms in that expression? Okay. You think of a way to use one of the card idioms.
Yeah, one I guess I could tell you guys, I could maybe do number 4 to play your cards right. So I would say that when I decided to come teach in Italy for the first time, I played my cards right, even though I wasn't fully aware of it back then, because I wasn't sure that I wanted to be a teacher or that I would even, be good at being a teacher because I never studied to do this. But then ultimately, I really discovered kind of like my passion in education, which I hadn't considered before. So in hindsight, I can see how I played my cards right by deciding to move here and teaching.
Very good. Okay, we've got another. Okay, so Michaela, situation 2. The interview went very well today. I played all my cards right. I hope that they will choose me. Perfect. Excellent. Yeah, that's exactly right. All right.
Nice accuracy as well.
Yep, excellent. Yeah, you hope you played all your cards right. You hope you did everything necessary to get your desired result. Okay, we've got another one. Well done, guys. Sylvia. Yesterday I had a job interview and I think I really played my cards right. I hope to get the job then. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Great, guys.
Okay, very good.
Nice. So yeah, so if you're still, you might be still writing because we understand that the context requires a bit more than just like a simple word. So keep them coming. If you're writing, do finish it. Don't worry, even if we kind of move on to the next slide. Maybe if Danielle, you said you wanted to do number 2, maybe if you want to give that example before we move on, that gives them a little more time.
Sure. So so I had a job interview yesterday. All right. I'm going to tell Thiago how it went.
So Danielle, I heard you had that job interview yesterday. How did it go?
Yeah, it went. It went pretty well. I laid all my cards on the table. Okay, I was completely honest with the interviewer, in that I'm looking for something more challenging and something, I'm looking to work for a company in which I can progress. So yeah, I was completely honest and open with them.
Great,
Okay.
fantastic. Yeah. I'm sure you're going to get this job. I know you've worked really hard for it, and I know you were really well prepared. So it's on the cards. You totally get it.
Yeah, I hope so.
All right.
Well done, guys.
Great, guys. So while you guys might be giving us some other examples, I guess we can perhaps move on because we still have a text to read. So
Yes.
just to make sure we have time to do all this, just a few questions to introduce the topic. So great. Do you want to read those 4 questions?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, we have, what is identity theft? Or you can say, what is ID theft? Okay, you can just say ID. Has it ever happened to you or someone you know? What can happen when someone steals your identity? And what do identity thieves do? Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know. Do you think should we maybe read the text first and then go back to the questions, or?
Yeah, let's read the text first.
Okay, so let me just get the. So I'm gonna just for a second, guys. I'm going to close this screen so I can open up the other one. And here we go. So, guys, what we will do here, I'm going to have to adapt this slightly. I suppose Danielle and I can kind of alternate reading some of these paragraphs. Really focus on the pronunciation, especially things that you might be unsure of how to pronounce. Any words that you are unsure of, let us know. In fact, the next activity after we discuss a bit of the meaning will be about identifying words in the text anyway. So, all right, so let's get started. So I guess I can read maybe the first 2. So, robbing you blind. Thieves used to pickpockets and snatch handbags. Now they steal identities. Identity thieves pilfer credit card information, bank statements, and national identification numbers so they can steal from existing accounts, open new ones, or even build up a criminal record under your name.
If you're lucky, you'll catch an ID thief while the stakes are still small. A couple of unauthorized purchases on a single credit card, say. If not, you'll discover that you're a victim only when, for instance, a credit card shows overdue payments on dozens of credit cards you never even knew you had. Here's how you can protect yourself where you are most vulnerable: mail, phone, and ATM, and avoid becoming the next statistic.
Exactly.
Okay.
So here's how you can protect yourself. So let's look at mail and a clarification here, because I've seen this mistake being done several times. In English, when you use the word mail by itself like this, we're always referring to paper, letters. You do need to say email always in English if you're talking about the electronic email.
Yeah.
Okay, because in Italian, since you guys don't have the word mail, in general, you can easily substitute email for mail, but not in English.
Yeah.
So mail. So what are some of the do's and don'ts? So a don't for mail is don't have new blank checks sent to your mailbox. Pick them up in person.
Okay.
And 2 do's. Do check monthly bills and statements for suspicious charges. If you aren't getting a bill, this may be a sign that someone has stolen your account and had the billing address changed so you wouldn't notice their unauthorized charges. And also, shred personal documents before you throw them in the garbage. Identity thieves rifle through garbage looking for discarded bills, bank statements, credit card receipts, and anything else that might contain information that could help them access your accounts or open a new one.
Okay. Now, in relation to your phone, don't conduct sensitive business on your cell phone in public. It's bad etiquette, and it can be a costly mistake if an identity theft is standing nearby and hears you give out some important personal information. Do protect your phone when entering passwords. It's best not to use passwords on your phone or tablet while in public, but if you have to, be sure to shield the screen from people who could be looking over your shoulder. Okay.
All right, great. Just gonna move down a little bit further. And then I believe this is the last one. Yes, the last one we have ATMs. So for ATMs, don't use ATMs located in convenience stores. They may not have the same security protection as bank ATMs. Do use a PIN, which stands for personal identification number. That's ridiculously hard to crack. Don't use your birth date or phone number. And also do keep an eye out for shoulder surfers. People may be looking over your shoulder.
So guys, just quickly, so an ATM is another way to say cash point. So in Australia, we say ATM. What do you say, Thiago?
I also say ATM.
Okay, yeah. So in England, they say cash point. All right. Yeah. So 2 different things mean 2 different words.
You might also hear some people refer to it as ATM machine, although it's redundant.
Yeah.
Because the M is already machine, but you do hear people say ATM machine as well.
Okay.
Cool. All right. So let's so I'm going to, I guess I can't have 2 open, right? So I'm just gonna just get these slides again because I accidentally closed them. I do have it right here. And in the meantime, guys, any words that you notice here, if you want to ask us.
Yeah, so guys, in this text, there's lots of sort of unusual words, maybe some words you haven't seen before. That's one of the main reasons we wanted to do this, sort of look at this resource, is because it's got such advanced language. So please have a look through. We realize it's a long text, but have a look through and let us know any words you're not sure of, and we can clarify them for everyone.
Exactly, and we will be coming back to it as well. So I'm just going to very briefly go back to the slides, but then we'll come back to this as well. Here we go. All right, so we were right here. So just to summarize a little bit of the information then. So Danielle, what would you say, what is identity theft according to the text?
So identity theft is when someone steals your essential information, okay? So the most basic data about yourself, your name, your age, your date of birth, maybe your passport number, everything. And based on that, they essentially become you for certain purposes, okay? Usually for financial purposes.
Right. Yes, Sylvia has a good question here. The meaning of shred, a
Yeah.
really good one. To shred is basically if you have a document, so a physical piece of paper, you shred. So that means to cut it into really, really small pieces so that people cannot put those pieces together anymore. So you would use a shredder to shred that document.
Yeah. So usually you use a machine, called a shredder.
Yeah.
Okay. So for confidential documents, it's good to use this. Sometimes I used to take mine into my old work and shred everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of offices tend to have them, especially if it's an office that deals with a lot of sensitive data. Everything gets shredded. I know in the US, I mean, people are very, companies are very, very careful about any information that could be taken, stolen. So they take that very seriously with shredding. I used to work in the admissions office in my college. And everything, after we scanned documents that came in by mail, everything got shredded. Okay. Has it ever happened to you, Danielle? Hopefully not, or anyone that you know?
It actually has happened to me.
Oh gosh, really?
It was awful. I'll tell you guys a short version because I can talk about it for a long time. But I was living in London, and this happened about 4 years ago. And all of a sudden, one day, I noticed on my online banking that I had another account added to my my banking homepage. And I was like, I didn't open that account. I have 2 accounts with the bank, not one. At the same time, I realized I hadn't received a letter from the UK Immigration Department about my visa. And I was waiting for this letter and it didn't arrive. And to cut a long story short, someone had stolen the letter from my letterbox with all of my personal information, including my passport number, everything. And they had used that information to open lots of bank accounts in my name and take out lots of loans using my credit score, my credit history. And it went on for well over a year. It was very stressful.
Wild.
Yeah. And then they started ordering, they were canceling some of my accounts and taking out, so new cards, like new bank cards would arrive and I wouldn't have applied for this bank card.
But they would actually arrive to your address?
Yes, because the person obviously knew where I lived and they were going to come back and take the card.
From the mailbox?
Yeah. So it's interesting because this is very old school type of ID theft. And apparently this is the most common type. So it's not online. Apparently it's old school stealing post at least in the UK, that's how it happens most of the time. Yeah, guys, be careful. It's awful.
No, because come to think of it, like checking my mailbox is something that I pretty much never do. Just because, I know most of the important stuff, they get to me by email anyway. Yeah. But sometimes, especially, important communication from the government, from the Comune, etc., they might come in my mailbox, but I never check it. So, yeah. Okay, so I guess, guys, since we have about 10 minutes or so left, we can just maybe look for some synonyms here. So if you remember from the text, so for some of these, we actually just talked about, like number 5, for example. But also, even if it's not in the text, you can tell us any synonyms that you might know. For these words right here.
Yeah, so to steal something. There was another word in the text. It started with an S, and it's about the same length, right? It's about 5 letters, I think, maybe 6 letters. Okay.
So steal, yeah, exactly. Something that is done without permission.
Yeah. So you can steal something, or you can.
Yeah, it'd be nice if we could have like both, right, side by
Yeah, it's a bit
side, because
hard.
that's the one, yeah. Because then, obviously, we
Yeah,
can't expect you to remember
all of the words.
all the
No,
words.
you might just have to
Maybe
say.
we can try to, yeah, exactly. Or should we maybe read these expressions and we kind of quickly go back to the document and then maybe identify them?
Yeah. Before we do, Sylvia's got another awful experience, like mine. Someone
Wow.
cloned my credit card a couple of years ago, but fortunately, I got my money back from the bank. Yeah. Oh, Sylvia, I'm sorry. It's awful, isn't it? Yeah. Well done. That's so great to clone something. Yeah.
Yeah.
We say fortunately with one L. Okay. One little
Mm.
thing.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
one difference I noticed that the US was very late in adopting is actually the chip on the credit cards.
Mm-hmm.
For the longest time, it was only like you swipe on the side and you just have to sign. And
Yep.
so, I mean, anyone can sign. No one is really checking your signature. There's no way
Yes.
to verify that. And I was almost a victim of something similar when I was traveling I went to Morocco. It must have been around like 21 or 22 or something. And I, got back to Italy after visiting for a few days, and then I tried to use my card at just like a McDonald's or something, and it got denied because it said that I had exceeded the attempts at using my PIN, which is very odd. And then when I found out that my card had also been cloned in Morocco,
Oh.
but thankfully, it was not my American card, but it was my Italian card. So they didn't know the PIN because they require that, and so nothing happened. But now
Yeah.
in the US, they have added finally the chip as well.
Finally catching up.
Yeah, yeah, but it's funny why it's been so slow in doing so. Because here it's been around for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Great. So just some of these other expressions, guys, we're going to be looking for something without permission, someone who has been robbed, someone or situation you are in danger, to cut into small pieces, search quickly, figure out, and watch out. So let me just share with you guys very quickly the other screen again, which I have right here. Okay. So the first one we saw was to search, to steal something.
Guys, I'll write them in the comments so you can see them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So right in the beginning there's another word that means to steal.
Quite an informal word.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, more casual, conversational.
Yeah, and it's also usually used for something small. So you wouldn't use this to describe stealing something big. Usually it's something small, like a wallet.
Exactly. And just for time's sake, we're just going to move on here. And it will be right here, guys, to snatch.
Oh, well done, Sylvia. Yeah,
oh,
excellent.
Great. Fantastic. Yep.
Yeah, perfect. Well done.
Yeah,
okay.
Very good. So to snatch something, it's to steal. And then we have without permission.
Yeah. Guys, if you know any of the others, feel free to let us know as well. You don't have to do them in the order.
Even if it's not in order.
Yeah. Okay. This is I remember doing this focus sort of in class, and yeah, it's quite difficult. This
Taking
one.
a while, but yeah, it's actually simpler than you probably would think. But it's right here. So the purchases, you don't have permission for those purchases, so they are considered unauthorized. So unauthorized purchases. Great. Someone who has been robbed, but not only been robbed, anyone who is on the receiving end of a crime.
I think you guys might know this one. Yeah.
And I guess we can give you guys maybe just the area where it's at. Actually trying to find it myself in the text. I know the answer, but I'm looking for it.
Oh yeah, I found it. Yeah.
You found it?
Yeah, it's in the middle, big paragraph.
This one here?
Yeah, it's in there in the second.
I see. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you have been robbed, or if you are exactly the victim, so see right here, discover you're a victim. Yeah, right there. Great. If you are in danger,
this is yeah, again, this is not just in the it's not just in the context of stealing something. It can also mean just like in health, in terms of your health, this can be spoken about, or your safety generally.
And this would be right here, where you're most vulnerable. Vulnerable, and then we have to search quickly.
This is a difficult one. Yeah, I think this is really difficult.
Yeah, I guess we'll be this one, right?
Towards the bottom.
To rifle through.
Yeah, exactly.
Rifle through, do something really quickly, search quickly.
Yeah, because a rifle, you guys know, as a noun means something completely different. It's a gun, right? It's a massive gun. But if you rifle through something, it's when you search very, very quickly for something. So usually through a bag, all right? If you rifle through your bag, okay?
Exactly. And then to figure out.
Great phrasal verb.
Come to understand something. We also use the word we're looking for here. Usually we use it with the code as well. So to the code. Bruno's asking us, can I say steal if I steal under person's identity? Yeah, you steal their identity, definitely. Yeah. Usually, of course, steal is for physical things, generally for objects, right? Like you rob a business or a bank, you steal an object, you rob a person. But in this case, yeah, we say steal for identity.
Yeah, because it's like the thing you're taking away from them.
Yeah. Okay.
Figure out.
So to figure out, guys, would be to crack. To crack, which is, let me see.
It's towards the bottom.
Towards the bottom, the second one?
Maybe.
Here. Use a pin that's ridiculously hard to crack. So it's hard for people to guess, for them to figure out your pin. And then lastly, guys, we have also to watch out for. So kind of to take the precautions, to be careful about something. So to watch out for would be right down here. So to keep an eye out. Keep an eye out for. Yeah, keep an eye out for someone.
Keep an eye out. The idea is you've got one eye that's sort of watching or aware of something.
Exactly. And so just to, if you guys, in case you want to maybe take a picture also of this and kind of review this later. So here we have all the answers. Okay, and then of course shred is one that we already discussed, to cut into very small pieces. And that's it. Okay, so guys, very briefly, because we're at the end of our hour, unfortunately, let's just do a quick review of everything that we saw here. So a couple of idioms. Here we go. So if something is on the cards, again, this comes from fortune telling. So if I tell someone something is on the cards, it's something that I believe is very likely to happen. Put all my cards on the table. So if I'm playing poker and I reveal my cards, basically means I am showing the truth. I'm being honest. I'm being open. If you hold all the cards, it means that you are in that position of power, so you can control the situation. If you play your cards right, you make the right decisions, you do the right things to make sure that you reach a desired result. And the opposite of put all your cards on the table means to keep your cards close to your chest, so to not reveal your true intentions. And then there were some other words that we have over here. You guys can see, and maybe you can even take a picture if you'd like. Bruno, I think the answer is a yes for this one because you mentioned it for the writing club.
Yes, I am. Bruno, great. Yes. Bruno, you sent me a song. Was that you, or have I got confused with someone else? I think it was you that sent. I think you're a musician. I'm getting a bit confused with how many students.
Yeah,
we
if
have
it's the
now.
Bruno I'm thinking about, then yeah, definitely a musician. He's like one of our students.
Yay!
Yeah.
Bruno, you were fantastic. I was very impressed with your writing and with your singing.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us and for commenting and participating in this activity. We hope that some of these expressions were useful. And as we said before, just try to incorporate them in your speech when you can, especially in school. It will really help with your fluency.
Okay, well done, guys. Right. Thanks so much for coming in and participating. And yeah, have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
See you guys. Bye.